You're sitting at the kitchen island. The laptop is open. You've been staring at the spreadsheet for 20 minutes, feeling that familiar, heavy knot of anxiety tightening in your gut. Business has been slow, or maybe the unexpected expenses just piled up too high this quarter. Whatever the reason, the math is the math. You finally take a breath, look up, and tell her the truth. You say, "Hey, we need to pull back this month. We can't do that expensive trip right now. I need to focus on rebuilding the reserves." Watch her face. Watch it very closely. The smile doesn't fade. It snaps off. The warmth in her eyes instantly crystallizes into something sharp, something calculating. She doesn't reach across the counter to hold your hand. She doesn't ask if you're feeling overwhelmed or if the stress is keeping you awake at night. Instead, her posture stiffens. She looks away, arms crossing defensively, and says, "But I already told my friends we were going. So what am I supposed to do now?" Pause for a second. Let that reaction sink in. Because in that split second of chilling silence, the illusion shatters. You don't get angry. You panic. You feel the sudden, terrifying withdrawal of her affection, and your chest tightens. You immediately start backpedaling, offering compromises, calculating how much room is left on the high-interest credit card. You are desperate to buy back the warmth that vanished the second the funding stopped. And this is exactly how survival value operates in the shadows. You think you are experiencing a relationship hiccup. You are not. You are experiencing an audit. That coldness you felt wasn't disappointment about a beach in Chalum. It was the terrifying, unconscious realization that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. When you provide, you are practically invisible. The dinners you pay for, the rent you subsidize, the sudden emergencies you effortlessly write a check to solve, they are absorbed into the fabric of her life as baseline expectations. You are a utility. You are the electricity in the house. Nobody walks into a room and thanks the light switch for working. They just expect the room to be bright. But the second the power goes out, the second you say no, or I can't, or I need to save, all hell breaks loose. This is the uncomfortable truth you have been running from. Nobody is going to tell you this, but you need to hear it. You are not her partner in the way you desperately want to be. You are her financial infrastructure. Remember the last time you had a genuine crisis. Not a bad day at work, but a real, foundational panic about your career or your finances. You came home exhausted, looking for a safe harbor. You sat on the edge of the bed and confessed that you might lose a major client or that the company was doing layoffs. You were looking for a partner. You were looking for someone to say, "We will figure this out together." But what did she actually do? She panicked, not for you, about you. Her eyes widened, and the questions she asked weren't about your mental health. They were logistical. What does this mean for the lease? Are we going to have to cancel the car order? Her anxiety spiked because her resource provider was malfunctioning. Her security blanket was fraying. She didn't comfort you. You ended up having to comfort her about your crisis. You swallowed your fear, forced a smile, and assured her that you'd work twice as hard to make sure her lifestyle wouldn't suffer. Look at what you just did. You abandoned your own emotional needs to reassure your dependent that her survival value was still guaranteed. This is the insidious nature of loving someone who only loves your utility. You slowly realize that her affection is a subscription service, and your financial output is the monthly fee. If you miss a payment, the premium features of the relationship get locked. The intimacy dries up. The conversations get short and transactional. The lingering touches disappear. And you feel it, don't you? The quiet, gnawing dread in the back of your mind. The absolute certainty that if you went bankrupt tomorrow, if you lost the ability to generate capital, the love would evaporate before the ink on the foreclosure papers dried. You are holding the entire relationship together with your wallet, absolutely terrified of what will happen the day it snaps shut. It's Friday morning. You check your banking app while pouring your coffee. The direct deposit just cleared. Your balance looks healthy again. And almost like magic, your phone buzzes. It's a text from her, not just a standard good morning, but something sweet, something playful, a suggestion that maybe tonight you should both go out and celebrate. Celebrate what, exactly? Surviving another 2 weeks of the corporate grind. No, she's celebrating the fact that the ATM has been restocked. You don't see the correlation at first. You just feel a rush of warmth. You agree to the expensive dinner downtown. You hand over the credit card at the end of the night, basking in her glowing affection. But you're not paying for romance. You're paying for access to her good side. And this is exactly how her love for your survival value works in the micro moments. It's conditional intimacy, directly pegged to your cash flow. You're sitting together on the couch. It's a quiet Sunday. She's leaning against your chest, scrolling through Instagram. Suddenly, her thumb stops. She lingers on a post, an influencer at a luxury resort, or unboxing a very specific designer bag. She lets out a soft, theatrical sigh. Must be nice, she whispers. She doesn't ask you for it. She just plants the seed and waits. And what do? You take the bait. Your brain immediately goes into overdrive. You start doing the mental math. You figure out what you need to sacrifice to make it happen. You feel this overwhelming urge to be the hero who turns her someday into today. Pause. Read that again. You are literally engineering your own exploitation. You are interpreting her consumer envy as a direct call to action for your wallet. Because deep down, you know the truth. If you don't provide the lifestyle she's scrolling through, someone else will. She doesn't love you. She loves your survival value, and she's constantly testing your capacity to keep providing it. Now let's look at what happens when you resist the pattern. It's Tuesday. She casually mentions trying that new, overpriced fusion restaurant. But you've been looking at your budget. You want to build a safety net. So you say, gently, let's just cook tonight. We've been spending a lot lately. Watch the temperature in the room plummet. She doesn't scream. She doesn't throw a fit. The punishment is much more sophisticated than that. She says, fine, that's fine. But her voice is entirely flat. The physical distance between you suddenly increases. The entire evening becomes a master class in passive aggression. When you try to hug her, she's stiff. When you try to initiate intimacy later, she's suddenly exhausted or stressed out. And you feel the chill in your bones. You internalize the lesson. You learn that fiscal responsibility equals emotional starvation. You learn that saving for your future means sacrificing your present peace. So the next time she suggests the restaurant, you don't hesitate. You pay to keep the peace. You are being trained. This is why the concept of survival value is so dangerous. You are being classically conditioned. Good behavior, spending money, is rewarded with affection. Bad behavior, setting financial boundaries, is punished with withdrawal. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to hear it. Overlap your bank statements with your relationship's emotional timeline. They map perfectly. The biggest fights happen exactly when you try to tighten the belt. The most passionate weekends immediately follow a major purchase. She audits you every single day, and you are terrified of failing the test. You're standing in the bathroom, staring at the mirror while the shower runs. It's 6 a.m. You are exhausted. Your chest feels tight, and you're dreading the commute. But you go to work anyway. You grind through the stress because the rent is due, the car payment is coming up, and she just mentioned wanting to upgrade the apartment. You step out of the shower. Look closely at your own eyes. You aren't a boyfriend. You are an employee. You are middle management in the corporation of her life. And this is exactly why understanding that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value, is the most painful pill you will ever swallow. Think back to the last party you attended together. You're standing by the wall, holding her drink. Across the room, there's a guy who couldn't pay her rent if his life depended on it. But he's telling a story, and she is hanging on his every word. Watch her body language. She is leaning in. Her eyes are dilated. She is playing with her hair. She is radiating raw, magnetic energy. Then she walks back over to you. The spark dies instantly. She gives you a polite, tight-lipped smile and asks if you can call the Uber on your premium account so she doesn't have to wait. And you do it. You don't say a word. You order the black car, trying to convince yourself that her polite "thank you" is the same thing as the burning desire she was just projecting across the room. It's not, because this is exactly how survival value operates in the light of day. It disguises itself as partnership. Evolutionary psychology calls this the dual mating strategy. Mates are separated into two categories: the ones who provide thrill and the ones who provide resources. What this means for you is devastating. You have been cast as the safety net. You provide the soft bed she sleeps in and the Wi-Fi she uses to scroll past your texts. Here is the uncomfortable truth you have been avoiding. Appreciation is not attraction. She appreciates the vacations. She is grateful you solve her problems. But gratitude is what you feel for an insurance agent. It is not what you feel for a lover. And this is why the reality that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value, keeps repeating. You repeat this pattern because you secretly agree with her. You try to buy desire because you are terrified that if you showed up empty-handed, she would walk away. Stop. Breathe. Let that sink in. You are actively funding your own emotional starvation. Every time you use your credit card to bridge a gap of intimacy, you reinforce the dynamic that is killing your soul. When you finally accept that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value, the relationship looks like a crime scene. The romantic memories are stained with transactional reality. The loving texts look like invoices. You aren't building a life together. You are just financing hers. You're sitting at a dinner party. Her friends are there. The conversation naturally turns to what makes a good man. Listen closely to the exact words they use. They don't say passionate. They don't say interesting. They say he's driven, he's ambitious, he takes care of things, he's a provider. She looks at you across the table. She smiles and rests her hand on your knee, silently confirming to the group that you fit the bill. Later that night, you quietly pick up the expensive check for the entire table. You feel a surge of pride. You think you've won the game. You puff your chest out on the ride home. You feel validated. You tell yourself this is simply what it means to be a man. You carry the heavy financial weight because you believe that's the price of admission for a beautiful woman. But you're not playing the game you think you're playing. You're participating in a cold, ancient transaction dressed up as modern romance. And this is exactly how her love for your survival value operates under the radar. It disguises financial extraction as traditional masculinity. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss spent decades studying human mating strategies. He found one universal truth. Across the globe, regardless of the economy, females consistently prioritize a mate's ability to acquire and invest resources. What this means for you is brutal. Her biological hardware is scanning your balance sheet, not because she is a cartoon villain, but because her deeply wired psychological mechanism views your capital as a proxy for her own safety. When she tells her friends, "I need a man who can lead," she is speaking an ancient biological code. Translate it. She means, "I need a man who can pay." Pause for a second. Let that sink in. You get a massive promotion at work. You are burned out, grinding through 60-hour weeks, but you finally get the bonus. You come home and tell her the news. Watch her reaction. She is absolutely thrilled. She jumps into your arms. She talks about how incredibly proud she is of you. And within 5 minutes, she is already talking about moving to the better neighborhood, upgrading her leased car, and finally taking that trip to Europe. You smile and nod, but something in your stomach twists. You realize, in a flash of cold clarity, that she isn't celebrating your intellectual growth. She isn't celebrating your passion. She is celebrating the expansion of her budget. Because deep down, you know the dark truth. If you came home today and said you were taking a massive pay cut to pursue a career you actually loved, a job that brought you peace but paid half as much, that same joy would vanish instantly. The celebration would turn into an interrogation. The warmth would turn into a panic attack about our future. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to confront right now. If your love requires a six-figure salary to maintain its temperature, it isn't love, it's employment. This is the psychological foundation of why she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. It is a framework built entirely on conditional resource extraction. Modern capitalism has simply weaponized this ancient drive. In the past, survival value meant you could hunt. Today, survival value means you have a high-limit credit card and a willingness to subsidize a lifestyle she cannot afford on her own salary. And you keep playing this role because society applauds it. Your friends call you a boss. Her parents love you because you're stable. Stable. Read that word again. You use that word for horses. You use it for bridges. You do not use it for burning desire. Every time you accept stable over being genuinely desired, you feed the dynamic hollowing out your soul. You cement the terrifying reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. You are sitting at a high-end bar. A woman walks in. She is pristine. By every conventional metric, she is entirely out of your league. You feel that sudden, hollow drop in your stomach. The insecurity flares up. So what is your very first instinct? You don't walk over and rely on your charm, your intellect, or your character. You signal your capital. You casually make sure your expensive watch is visible on the counter. You order the top-shelf whiskey loudly enough for her to hear. You buy a round of drinks for her and her friends. You lead with your wallet because you are absolutely terrified that your actual self isn't enough. And she smiles. She walks over. She gives you her number. You drive home that night feeling like an absolute king. You think you beat the system. You think you won. Wrong. You didn't win her. You rented her attention. You initiated a transaction, and now you are angry that she's treating it like a business deal. This is exactly how you invite the reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value, straight through your own front door. You laid the trap, and you caught yourself in it. Let's look at why you keep doing this. It is Friday night. You are planning the third date. You could plan something simple. A walk through the city, a coffee, a genuinely deep conversation to see if your souls actually connect. But the panic sets in. What if there's awkward silence? What if you aren't interesting enough? What if she gets bored of just you? So you throw money at the problem. You book the $300 tasting menu. You valet the car. You sit across from her in the dim lighting, letting the expensive ambience, the sommelier, and the Wagyu beef do all the heavy lifting for your personality. You let the luxury create the illusion of romance. And she stays. She laughs. She kisses you at the end of the night. You breathe a massive sigh of relief. But the shadow truth is, you use your money as emotional body armor. Because if you take a woman out for a $3 coffee and she rejects you, she is rejecting you, your core, your essence. But if she leaves after a $300 dinner, you can just protect your ego by calling her a gold digger. This is the core reason she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. Your survival value is the only thing you are brave enough to put on the table. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to hear it right now. You actually like this dynamic. You complain to your friends about how much she costs, but you secretly love it. She comes to you stressed about a credit card bill or a car repair she can't afford. You sigh. You grumble about how she needs to be more responsible. But as you open your banking app and transfer the funds, watch what happens to your posture. Your chest swells. You feel powerful. You feel incredibly, intoxicatingly needed. You confuse being needed with being desired. You use your financial leverage as a covert leash. Deep down in your shadow self, you believe that as long as she relies on your money, she cannot leave you. You are buying a hostage and calling it a girlfriend. You are secretly terrified of a woman who is completely financially independent because what would you have to offer her? Stop. Read that again. If she didn't need your money, would she still be sitting on your couch? You are actively funding this illusion, because finally acknowledging that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value, would require you to face the most terrifying question of all. Without your wallet, who are you? You are 6 months into the relationship. It started innocently enough. You paid for the first few dates. That is standard. That is what you were taught a gentleman does. But then the dates kept happening, and the check always seemed to slide right past her and stop directly in front of you. She never reaches for her purse anymore. She just smiles, maybe touches your arm lightly, and waits for you to handle it. And you do. You pull out the card without missing a single beat. You don't ask to split it. You don't even flinch. Because in that moment, you are buying peace. You are buying the continued illusion of a traditional romance. But that is exactly how the trap of her loving your survival value snaps shut. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens one overpriced cocktail at a time. It is a slow, quiet erosion of your boundaries. Fast forward another 6 months. You are sitting on her couch. She is stressing over her laptop. She looks up at you with those big, overwhelmed eyes. Her rent is going up, or maybe her car needs new brakes. She makes exactly 45,000 a year, but her lifestyle costs 80,000. There is a massive, gaping hole in her math. And she doesn't ask you to fill it. She is much too smart for that. She just presents the problem and lets the heavy silence hang in the air. She lets her anxiety infect the room. She sighs. She talks about how she might have to move to a much worse neighborhood. She paints a vivid picture of her own vulnerability. And you step right in. You play the savior. You offer to cover the difference. You say, "Don't worry about it, I've got this." Because you think you are rescuing your partner from stress. Wrong. You are officially becoming her lifestyle subsidizer. You are bridging the gap between what she earns and what she feels entitled to experience. And this is exactly how survival value operates as a slow-acting poison. You rationalize every single step. First, it was just paying for dinners. Then it was picking up her groceries because you were already at the store. Then it was covering her half of the vacation because she couldn't save up in time. You tell yourself it is just this one time. But the goalpost keeps moving. Her expenses magically rise to consume whatever safety net you provide, leaving you holding the exact same financial bag. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to hear it right now. She is not disorganized. She is not bad at math. She knows exactly what she is doing. Look at her closet. Look at her aesthetic. She cannot afford any of it on her own. She requires a sponsor. You are walking through the mall together. She stops at a high-end boutique. She tries on a dress that costs half her weekly paycheck. She spins around in the mirror, looks at you, and says, "Do you like it?" She isn't asking for your fashion advice. She is asking for your credit card limit. And when you hesitate, when you look at the price tag and swallow hard, watch the micro-expressions on her face. The joy immediately turns to disappointment. The spin stops. She says, "It's fine, I don't need it," in a tone that guarantees you will pay for it later in emotional distance. So you buy the dress. You subsidize the delusion. Stop. Pause for a second. Look at the dynamic you have built. You are funding a reality she has zero capacity to maintain without you. If you disappeared tomorrow, her entire aesthetic would collapse. She would have to downgrade her life. This is why she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. Because to her, you are not a human being. You are the difference between the life she can afford and the life she demands to live. It's 3:14 a.m. You are wide awake. The room is pitch black, but your mind is a blinding, chaotic spreadsheet of liabilities, payroll, and upcoming quarterly taxes. Your chest is tight. You are on the verge of a panic attack because the new competitor just launched, or the restructure at the firm means your position is on the chopping block. You turn your head. She is sleeping soundly next to you. Deep, peaceful, untroubled breaths. She is resting comfortably in the fortress you are burning yourself alive to maintain. You don't wake her up. You don't reach out for comfort. You just lie there in the dark, swallowing the bile in your throat. Because deep down, you know that her peace is entirely dependent on your performance. And this is exactly how her love for your survival value operates when the lights go out. It traps you in a silent, suffocating performance dread. Let's talk about the day you finally hit the wall. You are driving home. Your hands are gripping the steering wheel so hard your knuckles are white. You are completely, utterly burned out. You think to yourself, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. I need to step down, take a lower-paying job, just to get my blood pressure under control. You walk through the front door. She's on the couch, planning the next vacation or talking about the kitchen renovation. And the words die in your throat. You look at her excitement, and you instantly calculate the cost of your own mental health. If you step down, the vacation gets cancelled. The renovation dies. And when those things die, her mood dies. The resentment will start. The subtle, passive-aggressive comments about how other guys are managing to step up. So you smile, kiss her forehead, and silently agree to keep destroying yourself. Because this is why the reality that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value, is so physically dangerous. You are not allowed to be weak. You are not allowed to fail. Let's look at how she reacts when you actually do show a crack in the armor. You come down with a severe stress migraine that puts you in bed for 2 days. You can't answer emails. You can't make the calls. You are physically incapacitated. Does she bring you soup and tell you to rest? Maybe on day one. But by day two, watch the irritation seep in. She sighs heavily when she has to handle a minor inconvenience you usually take care of. She asks, are you going to be able to work tomorrow? She isn't worried about your health. She's worried about the disruption to her service provider. And this is exactly how survival value operates in moments of weakness. Your illness is just an inconvenience to her lifestyle. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to hear it right now. Your relationship has a termination clause, and it's written entirely in your tax bracket. Pause for a second. Read that again. If you get into a horrific car accident tomorrow and can never work again, how long does she stay? 3 months? 6? Just long enough so she doesn't look like a monster to her friends. You know the answer. You feel it in your gut. If your capacity to generate capital drops to zero, her exit strategy begins immediately. She tells you she loves you unconditionally. Wrong. Try a simple experiment. Tomorrow, tell her you were fired. Don't say you have a backup plan. Don't say you have recruiters lined up. Just tell her it's over, the money is gone, and you need to live on her income for the next year. Watch the panic. Watch the immediate shift from "we are a team" to "what are you going to do about this?" You aren't a team. You are a beast of burden. You are pulling the cart, and she is holding the whip, complaining about the scenery. Stop. You are not failing. You are just exhausted from running a marathon where the finish line keeps getting moved by someone who refuses to run. And this is exactly why she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. Your anxiety is the fuel that keeps her engine running, and she doesn't care how fast you are burning out as long as the heat keeps her warm. You are sitting at the kitchen island, organizing the budget. You're moving money from your checking to the joint account, covering the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries. She is sitting across from you. The delivery guy just dropped off 3 packages with her name on them, things she bought with her paycheck. You look up and casually suggest that maybe she could cover the electric bill this month to help you rebuild your savings. Watch what happens. She hesitates. She gives you a look of genuine confusion. She says, "But I just put half my check into my personal savings, and I had to pay my own credit card. I don't really have extra." Pause. Let that exact phrasing echo in your head. Her personal savings, her credit card, her money. But when the rent is due, it's our apartment. When the car needs tires, it's our transportation. When the vacation is booked, it's our trip. And you just nod. You say, "No problem, I'll handle it." You absorb the blow because you don't want an argument over a couple $100. You convince yourself you're being the provider. Wrong. You are being played by a massive financial double standard. And this is exactly how her love for your survival value operates in broad daylight. Your money is community property. Your resources are the communal well that funds the relationship. Her money is a walled garden, reserved for her independence and her exit strategy. Psychologists call this resource asymmetry. What this means for you is brutal. She views your income as the baseline requirement for the relationship to exist. She views her income as her personal reward for existing. Think about the last time she got a raise. You took her out to celebrate. You thought, "Great, this takes some pressure off me. We can start building together." But did the pressure actually decrease? No, she didn't offer to take over the car payment. She didn't start paying for the date nights. Instead, her lifestyle simply upgraded. She bought better shoes. Her increased capital didn't benefit us. It benefited her. Because the unspoken rule of the house is that her money is for her enjoyment and your money is for her survival. This is the crushing reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. If she viewed you as an equal partner, your financial burdens would be her financial burdens. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to swallow it right now. She doesn't want an equal partnership. She wants a sponsor who allows her to play at being independent. Test the theory. Tomorrow, tell her you want a fully transparent joint account where 100% of both your incomes go in. Propose absolute financial equality. Propose that her shopping hauls are subjected to the exact same budget constraints as your expenses. Watch the absolute terror flash across her face. She will fight you. She will call you controlling. She will use every manipulation tactic to protect her walled garden while continuing to drink freely from your well. She will defend her financial autonomy to the death, while happily allowing your autonomy to be crushed under the weight of our lifestyle. Exactly. You see it now, don't you? The illusion of building together is just a marketing slogan she uses while you carry all the bricks. You are burning yourself out to construct a life that she is simply decorating. And the second you ask her to carry her own weight, the resentment begins. Because she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value. And the most dangerous thing you can do to a parasite is ask it to feed itself. You are sitting at your desk. The apartment is perfectly quiet. She is out with her friends on your dime, of course, and you are looking at your year-end credit card summary. The pie chart is staring back at you. The expensive restaurants, the weekend getaways, the endless stream of lifestyle maintenance. You feel a sudden, violent surge of resentment. You want to call her a parasite. You want to blame modern dating. You want to vent to your friends about how women only care about money. But then you look down at the physical plastic sitting on the desk. Look at the name embossed on the front. It is your name. You are the one who typed in the CVV code. You are the one who handed the card to the waiter. You are the one who clicked confirm purchase on the flights. Nobody held a gun to your head. Stop. Let that sink in. Here is what nobody is going to tell you, but you need to hear it right now. You are not a victim. You are a willing participant in your own financial execution. You are furious about the reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. But you are the one who put your survival value on the display case and begged her to buy it. Let's go back to the very beginning. You are swiping on a dating app or you are standing at a bar. You see a woman who makes exactly what you make. She lives in a modest apartment. She drives a reliable 10-year-old car. She is realistic. She is practical. She would split the bill with you in a heartbeat. What do? You swipe left. You look right past her at the bar. You label her boring or average. You don't want an equal. Then you see her, the curated aesthetic, the luxury handbag, the aura of high maintenance. You know instantly in your gut that you cannot afford her without stretching yourself to the absolute breaking point. But your ego takes the wheel. You walk over. You initiate the interaction, and you immediately use your wallet to compensate for your profound insecurity. You literally set the transactional precedent on date number 1. Carl Jung wrote extensively about the shadow self, the repressed, dark parts of our psyche we refuse to acknowledge. Your shadow doesn't want an equal partner. Your shadow wants a shiny, expensive trophy to prove to the world and to yourself that you are successful. What this means for you is devastating. You bought a decorative centerpiece to stroke your own ego, and now you are throwing a tantrum about the maintenance costs. This is exactly how the dynamic of her loving your survival value becomes a cage of your own making. You bought the arrangement. She is just collecting on the contract you signed. Fast forward 10 years if you refuse to change this pattern. Paint the picture in your mind. You marry her. You buy the massive house in the neighborhood you can barely afford because she demanded it. You are 45. Your chest is constantly tight. You are working weekends just to keep the lifestyle afloat. You are a hollowed-out husk of a man, functioning solely as an ATM. And then the inevitable happens. The market turns. Your business takes a hit. Your income drops. Your survival value dips below her required threshold. She files the divorce papers. She looks at you with absolute coldness in the mediation room. And because you spent a decade playing the role of her lifestyle subsidizer, the courts legally mandate that you continue to maintain her lifestyle even after she leaves. Read that again. You end up living in a tiny, depressing apartment, handing over half of everything you earn to fund the life of a woman who is actively replacing you with a better ATM. That is the terminal diagnosis. That is what happens when you build a life on the foundation that she doesn't love you, she loves your survival value. It doesn't end in a quiet, mutual breakup. It ends in total financial and spiritual bankruptcy. And you will have engineered every single step of it. You are standing at the edge of the rest of your life. Look down the path you are currently walking. It is an exhausting hallway of transactions. Picture your next 10 years. You are sitting in the driveway of a house you hate, dreading the moment you walk through the door. You are sweating over a mortgage requiring 60-hour work weeks. And she is inside, untouched by your stress, complaining her car is getting old. You will spend your remaining healthy years functioning as human infrastructure. You will be a biological ATM, dispensing cash for the bare minimum of polite companionship. You will rot from the inside out, deprived of genuine desire, all because you accepted the reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. Pause for a second. Let the disgust of that future settle in your stomach. You feel the nausea, the recognition that this is where the road ends. Now look at the alternative, the terrifying, completely liberating choice to break the machinery. You have to kill the provider script. You have to take your wallet off the table and see what is actually left. Tomorrow, you sit down at the kitchen island. You don't yell. You simply change the math. You tell her the free ride is over. The luxury vacations are paused, the dinners are split, and the lifestyle subsidies are cancelled. You look her dead in the eye and say you are focusing on your own financial independence. From now on, the relationship runs strictly on mutual emotional effort, not your capital. Watch what happens. The mask will drop. The anger will be venomous. She will threaten to walk away, packing her bags with the items you paid for. And you let her. Hold the door open. Do not flinch. Do not apologize. Let her walk out, because her departure is the final, undeniable proof that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. If she leaves the second the money stops, she was never yours. You were just her employer, and she quit because you cut her benefits. Nobody is going to tell you this, but carve it into your mind right now. True desire cannot be financed. When a woman genuinely desires you, she will sleep in a studio apartment with you. She will eat cheap takeout on the floor. Your bank account will be entirely irrelevant to the heat she feels when you enter the room. If you have to buy her presents, you are already completely alone. Continuing to fund her lifestyle is a betrayal of your own soul. You are paying a premium to hide from the reality that she doesn't love you. She loves your survival value. So here is the binary choice. There is no middle ground. Stay, you wake up tomorrow, swipe the card, and continue renting a hostage who secretly resents your financial boundaries. You stay in the expensive lie. Break, you snap the leash. You cut the funding. You walk into the fire of authentic rejection, burn the transactional relationship down, and finally demand a life where you are desired for the man you are. The ATM is open, or the ATM is permanently closed. Choose.